This is KGW News at noon.
Happening now, the search is on for this missing hiker near Corbett. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says rescuers returned to the area this morning, looking for any sign of 53-year-old Christopher Smaka. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brenda Braxton. The man is reportedly a couple days overdue from a hike in the Gordon Creek area. Friends say they last saw him Monday morning, and he had no plans to camp overnight. Here's where authorities found Smaka's car yesterday morning. It was parked at a trailhead along Southeast Gordon Creek Road. About 2 miles away, searchers discovered his shoes and identification along the banks of the Sandy River. It's believed he left them on shore and went for a swim somewhere near Oxbow Park. Crews are now using drones and kayaks to look for Smaka, who's described as an experienced hiker and mushroom picker. Rescuers say people often underestimate the Sandy River during the summer months. It's hot outside, but the river is fed by glacier melt, so the water is cold and it's running fast. Right now, we want to bring in meteorologist Rod Hill. And Rod, you have more info on the river temperatures this time of year.
Yeah, and a footnote, generally speaking, we are running behind schedule because of that wet spring in terms of how fast some of the water is still flowing, the river levels themselves, and how cold the temperatures are. We probably will see some dramatic warming of these temperatures over literally just the next couple of weeks. But for now, the Sandy, of course, we all know that comes out of the Cascades. Water temperature 59 degrees. Anything really below 70 is considered cold, and if you're in the 50s, that can be a real issue in terms of how cold the water is. And by the way, people now starting to recreate all over the place, obviously. The Willamette in Portland is 70. It's about the same down at Kaiser, 69. The Columbia River gauge at Vancouver, not showing a temperature right now, but the one in Bonneville out in the gorge is showing 66 degrees. So that's a situation. I do think, as I mentioned, Brenda, in the next couple of weeks, we'll see some dramatic warming of those temperatures as people continue to want to jump in. Back to you.
Yes, thank you for the perspective, Rod. Overseas today, Joe Biden began his first visit to the Middle East as president. His first stop, Israel. After touching down at the airport, the president was briefed on Israel's Iron Dome defense system and a new laser system called the Iron Beam. The president will spend 2 days in Jerusalem before meeting Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas on Friday in the occupied West Bank. He then flies to Saudi Arabia for talks with officials there and a summit with Gulf allies. While Biden is overseas, his administration is dealing with a staggering inflation report out today. Inflation is at its highest level in 40 years. The consumer price index has gone up 9.1% in the last 12 months. The cost of everything from energy to food has soared recently. President Biden reacted to the news, saying while inflation is unacceptably high, he also blames some corporations for using the pandemic as an excuse to raise prices. Now back to some of your local headlines this noon. The man accused of a racist attack in inner southeast Portland entered a not guilty plea in court this morning. He'll be back in court next month. A grand jury indicted Dylan Kesterson yesterday for crimes against 3 women of Asian descent back in April. Earlier this month, he was also arrested for yelling anti-Asian slurs and punching a father and his 5-year-old daughter as they rode bikes on the East Bank Esplanade. Portland police say an 82-year-old man injured in an unprovoked attack downtown last month has died. He's been identified as Donald Pierce. He and another man were both assaulted at a bus stop near Southwest 5th and Hall. The other man was injured but is out of the hospital this noon. The suspect, Keffer White, remains in jail with additional charges pending. Now to Washington County, where a Hillsborough-based company has created an app to help locate missing people. Alma McCarty explains how it works and why developers say their system cuts through red tape and connects the community.
Alerting the community when someone is missing or lost or has wandered away is a key part of bringing them home safely. Oftentimes, families will turn to social media to get the word out or work with law enforcement to push out alerts or conduct a search. These efforts can be time-consuming, the search parameters too broad. That's where the Hillsborough-based Q5 ID Guardian app comes in.
We want to put the power back into the individual's hand and give them that opportunity to really issue an alert immediately if their loved one goes missing, because sometimes they're not that far away and waiting a longer time could cause more issues.
With the push of a button, Alexandra Farland explains an alert will be sent to those who subscribe to the Guardian app and are located near the last known location of the person who went missing.
Everybody around them with the app in the immediate area could jump into action.
And those who use it must have their identities verified ahead of time, making it more secure than social media.
Essentially, nobody can pretend to be somebody else. So everybody knows that they're real people. They're people who are actually ready to help right in their own neighborhood.
Developers say the app builds on the systems already in place, although how well it catches on remains to be seen.
We're starting in Portland first so that we can grow a community here and then expand from there, because ultimately you do need a good ratio of volunteers to what we call the Guardian subscriber, who actually initiates the alert for their missing loved one. And without the volunteers, there's nobody to look for a missing person.
However, organizations like Child Help, a nonprofit aimed at the prevention and treatment of child abuse, are fully on board with the concept.
There's been so much focus in this area and industry on things like Amber Alert and Silver Alert, and how do we connect hotlines and get more crisis numbers out there. And those are all great things. None of that stuff is bad. But this is an app that has really been designed with today's age in mind. How do we capitalize on social behaviors in a way that rescues a child that's in need or in crises?
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Starbucks made a big decision announcing it's closing at least 8 stores in the Pacific Northwest for safety reasons. This affects 2 locations in Portland, one in the Gateway area off Northeast Halsey, the other downtown at 4th and Morrison. Starbucks says it'll also close 6 stores in Seattle. The company gave multiple reasons, including the growing mental health crisis, racism, and rising drug use. One longtime customer in the Gateway neighborhood had this to say.
It just breaks my heart. I've lived in this neighborhood for 22 years, and it wasn't like this when I moved here, and now it's just really sad that this kind of element has driven this business to shut down.
Starbucks did tell us it's going to try to relocate the employees impacted by these closures.